is a big one. Bold claim. Unified theory of physics. So I guess to summarize, we have quantum field theory, which is really good for particles, all the forces in nature, except gravity. Then we have general theory of relativity, which is good for gravity, but doesn't work with any of the particles. So we're trying to unify them. So should we come up with particles for everything? If we come up with particles for everything, that would mean that gravity needs a graviton. But I don't think that's how it works. I really am skeptical about people who try to unite general relativity with quantum field theory in terms of the graviton. I don't think this is the way to go. I have a good friend, Eric, that I've been talking to him about this. I'm a big favor of causal set theory. So let's highlight the differences between general relativity and causal set theory. Or general relativity and quantum field theory, I mean. Quantum field theory treats time as a background. So everything happens and time is ticking along at a uniform rate. But that's not how the universe really works, though, is it? Because masses can change the way that we perceive things. I'm a really big proponent of causal set theory. I'm a strong opponent of string theory because it hasn't provided anything recently. Alright, so quantum field theory is good with particles, all the known forces that we have, electromagnetism, strong, weak nuclear force. But not gravity, though. Because gravity cannot be quantized, as far as I'm concerned. The way that gravity works, it's an inverse square law. Or it's at least inverse. So what I mean is, like, the further that you go from an object, the weaker gravity gets. So technically speaking, if you go to the other side of the universe, gravity still is there, but it's very weak. But that's kind of problematic, though, isn't it? Because there's no particles to mediate gravity. So it seems like gravity has an infinite influence. Hence the reason why quantum field theory and Einstein's theory of general relativity is incompatible. Because quantum field theory views gravity as, or I guess quantum field theory, how do I explain it? This is so fucking confusing. Not for me, but just to explain. It's all in my head, but to explain it to people, for those that will listen. Quantum field theory explains all the forces in nature, except for gravity. But Einstein's theory of general relativity perfectly explains gravity. But when it comes to black holes, we have to have a unified theory. Because the interior of black holes, the singularity, uses quantum mechanics because it's small. But it has high mass, so it should invoke general relativity too. So how do you reconcile that? You have two theories. You have quantum field theory, which is good for all the forces except gravity, and then you have Einstein's theory of general relativity, which is really good at explaining the way that planets move, masses move, in general. But when it comes to black holes, though, it seems like you need both of them. Small enough for quantum effects to take place, but also massive enough for general relativity to also take place. So how do you reconcile the two? So I posit, well, not I posit, but I mean a lot of other people have posited this. It's a causal set theory. I'm not a fan of string theory at all. The math is great. Actually, you know what? The math is not great. The math is subpar, but it is more developed than other theories because we've had resources dedicated to those areas. But I don't think string theory has really given us any kind of fruit. There's been no experimental test to even give a modicum of evidence for string theory. So as far as I'm concerned, string theory is dead on arrival. That's why I like causal set theory. Why try to quantize gravity in terms of the graviton? Why try to fit general relativity in terms of quantum field theory? Why try to fit quantum field theory in terms of gravity? It's very clear that these two theories are very incompatible. So it begs the question: is there an underlying theory that explains both of them? That's where causal set theory comes into play. Causal set theory is explaining the universe in terms of its most simple components. What is one thing that we all agree on? Things happen. There's flux, there's change. Things are constantly changing. So imagine a set of causal units.
Can't do that here.
Ahoy. It is going to be extremely difficult for me to explain this. Everything I say, don't take me for granted. Look it up.
It's not time to kill
If I make a claim,
yet.
look it up. If someone gives me evidence that is contrary to what I'm saying, then I would love it, because it would change my perspective. But as far as I'm concerned, quantum field theory is not complete, general relativity is not complete, so we have to have an underlying structure that is going to give rise to both of them. So imagine a causal set, or a set of individual units that you build one by one. And you build it one by one in terms of simple components like causates or events, or just the most primordial component. And there's links to it. Of course there has to be links, because there's change. So you have units that are linked together. That's causal set theory. That's it. But explaining it is so hard, though. I can go on an entire rant about it. Doesn't mean that anybody's gonna understand what the fuck I'm saying, though. Just imagine you have, okay, let's strip the universe apart. Let's say that we have indivisible units, the causative or the event, and we have everything linked together. So it depends how it's linked then, right? If you have indivisible units that are linked together, if you have a bunch of different events that all link to one event, it seems like that's gravity. A bunch of events that are linked to a single event, it's all honing into one event, that seems like gravity. But if you have an event splits into multiple events, that kind of resembles quantum mechanics, right? Because you have the double slit experiment, where a particle can be spin up or spin down. So there's a divergence. So I see convergence of events as gravity. You have multiple events that are all converging to a similar point. There's some sort of gravitational influence on those points. But if you have a point that diverges, then it seems to invoke how do I say it? Quantum weirdness. But that's not, I don't like quantum weirdness, though. That's the thing. It's like explaining things to people. It's not just a matter of the theory, but how you convey it to other people too. So if you have multiple events that converge on a single event, that's gravity. But if you have an event that splits into other events, that's where the quantum weirdness comes in. But I wouldn't even consider it quantum weirdness. It's hard to explain it. So I guess I'll talk about quantum entanglement then. With quantum entanglement, apparently if you have two particles, you have one here on Earth, and you send another particle to another place in the universe, really far away, then apparently we have instant communication. So you know you know the properties of one particle, that means you instantly know the properties of another particle. That's fine. I see no problem with that. But a lot of people think that because you know one property and then you instantly know another property, that implies instant communication or faster than light travel, which I think is complete bullshit. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is, okay, one thing is consciousness has nothing to do with the collapse of the wave function. Consciousness has nothing to do with the collapse of the wave function. It is light or particles interacting with other particles that causes them to change. Whether it's the light from our eyes or other particles that cause the collapse of the wave function. The thing that pisses me off the most is that people think that consciousness has something to do with the collapse of the wave function, which is fucking absurd. Because how many billions of years has the universe been around where there were no conscious people? So the wave function had to collapse when there were no people. So it's like quantum properties exist, and then you have interactions. If you have conscious observers, sure, the interactions are going to increase. But if you don't, well, I mean, they're still there. Like you have particles bumping into other particles. So it seems like the collapse of the wave function has to do with gravity. We are not in a privileged position in the universe. The universe is going to do what it's going to do, regardless of whether we're here or not. Okay. So causal set theory. Events linked to other events. Let's say you have one primordial event that is linked to other ones. So do you have one primordial event? Do you have multiple? Nobody knows. But if they are to be linked, they can be linked in a straight line, in which case that explains the maybe the continuous succession of time.
Yes.
If it converges, kind of explains gravity a little bit. If it diverges, maybe that explains the quantum weirdness. I would have to make an entire comprehensive video about this. But for now, we are still playing Path of Exile.
Yes. Where to? All hands on deck. We made it.
The King's March Tipper.
Nice spot for a prison. Not so great if you want to escape. anyone who makes justice there, I...
You have been weighed and measured, and you have been found wanting. You are unworthy, but fear not, for redemption is a grace which may be earned by the willing. Until then, the Empire shall be your father and your mother.
Oh shit.
Is my power to wield.
Consider this stream as a rant on causal set theory. So quantum mechanics, general relativity are not compatible. Because quantum field theory explains time as a static background, which it's clearly not. It's a dynamic background, as Einstein predicted. There is no background. That's the thing, is quantum field theory treats time and space as a background. But we know it's not. It's a dynamic interplay between mass and space. Space and time. You can't even say space either. You have to say space-time. It's a dynamic interplay between mass that inhibits the universe and space-time. Space-time is not a background. There is no such thing as a background. Maybe that's my main point of the stream. Is that people think of space and time as a background to what goes on in it. Things moving, things accelerating, mass, everything. People think of space-time as a background, but that's not what it is. Things occupy the universe, and space-time responds to those things that occupy the universe. There is no static background. It's a cosmic dance between space-time and the matter that fills it. That's why I like causal set theory, because it takes general relativity very seriously. It imposes a light cone. Things cannot travel faster than the speed of light. That's the cosmic speed limit. But to say that it is the speed of light is also incorrect, because light travels at different speeds depending on which medium that it passes through. So it's really the speed of causality. So think of people say speed of light, but think of light as the thing that. Think of light as the glue
Come out.
between particles. Light is what mediates the interaction between particles. Decay, spontaneous decay, doesn't matter. So the speed of light is really the speed of causality. The speed at which The speed of light is really summarized as the speed at which things communicate with each other in the universe. I feel glad knowing that long after I'm dead, the stream is still going to exist. On the internet somewhere. Don't expect anybody to listen to this shit. Don't expect anybody to agree.
Suffering. Why not just kill them?
Shit. So many things to be said that won't be said.
Out of mana.
Just imagine an event as a single unit.
More mana.
It can move to another event. Events connect to other events. So imagine a unit. It can connect to another event. It can diverge to multiple events. Those multiple events can also converge to a single event. And it's a partial order. So the one thing that I hate about causal set theory is that it imposes a partial order. Time moves in a single line. Everything about Einstein's theory of general relativity suggests that time moving in one direction, because every single thing that happens. Okay, so you have a snapshot of the universe, right? You should be able to predict everything else that happens. So what works forward in time also works backwards in time. But clearly that's not how the universe functions. Everything moves in one direction. There is a good reason to suspect that time could flow in multiple directions, but there's no experimental evidence of this. So I don't want to impose a partial order, but I feel like I have to, because there's nothing in physics, in theory, that leads me to think that time could move backwards. Time can move forward in different reference frames. So people say other people experience time differently. That's not true. Everybody experiences time ticking at the same rate. The only difference is that different observers will disagree on what events happen at what time. So there's no reason for me to think that time can flow backwards. Sure, Einstein's equations are impartial. Time could flow differently, and his theory would still be preserved. But that's not how it works, though. So there's something obviously wrong about this. Circling back around to the main point, Einstein's theory is extremely powerful. But it does not account for quantum weirdness. But quantum weirdness is weirdness explained, like it's called weirdness for a reason. It makes no sense. So Einstein's theory of general relativity does not account for quantum weirdness, but also the very phrase quantum weirdness.
How can I resist?
There's something wrong with quantum field theory. Things cannot communicate faster than the speed of light. That's why whenever I hear entanglement, the thing I was trying to explain earlier, entanglement. You have two particles that are on opposite sides of the universe, and if you know the state of one particle, you instantly know the state of another particle. But apparently physicists ignore the fact that in order to put something into a superposition, in order to actually entangle something, those two particles have to be together. You have two particles that are together, and you put them into a state of quantum entanglement, and then you send them into different areas. So what this seems like to me is that the state of the particle is determined from the moment that they're entangled. There's no quantum weirdness. There's no, like, faster than light communication. That makes no fucking sense. You have two particles entangled. Their states may not be known, but they're entangled from the get-go. So it doesn't matter how far you move them away in the universe. There's no faster than light travel. Give me a fucking break. You know, once you figure out the state of one particle, you instantly know the state of the other particle. Not because there's faster than light communication, but because you prepared the entangled state in the same area. That's it. That is quantum entanglement demystified. See very few people even talk about this. Which means, okay, so this demystifies it, but that implies one thing, which I take very seriously. That the one thing that I disagree with Einstein about very strongly is that things in the universe... Okay, how do I explain this? You have a particle moving in a certain direction. You can measure every aspect of it. And according to Einstein's theory of general relativity, it should be fully deterministic. You can predict exactly where the particle is going to go. There's no sense of the past. What happened to the particle in the past, it doesn't matter. Everything that can be predicted about the particle is the state that it's in the current moment. So there is no... That's... Okay, so there's the term the Markovian and non-Markovian processes. One process says that everything about the particle can be predicted based on its current state. Doesn't matter what it went through in the past. Just matters. Like if you know the state of the particle in its current moment, you know the velocity, you know the direction, everything is fully predicted. That's what Einstein thought. But things clearly have a history, right? A particle, like, sure, everything that you know about the particle's direction, that's going to give you a deterministic outlook, but you think the past really doesn't matter, though? Well, everything in your equations suggests that it doesn't matter, and it's perfectly fine for the types of questions that you ask. But do you want quantum weirdness? Or do you want to admit... Do you want to admit that the past matters? When it comes to explaining processes. We know the past happened, so why not include it? That's all I'm saying. I have a strong feeling like this entire stream is going to fall on deaf ears. But you know what? It matters in the sense that nobody's going to either hear this or understand. But it kind of doesn't matter too, because this is my fucking legacy. I'm explaining these things to people that want to hear it. If there's anything that I say that's wrong, please, please correct me on this. So quantum field theory treats time as being static and unchanging. It's a background. And then particles flow within the background. That's perfectly fine, because gravity is extremely weak. So it's not that people are ignoring gravity, it's that gravity is so weak it's not going to have an impact on the measurements. But in Einstein's theory of general relativity, gravity matters a lot. That's all it is, because gravity is extremely weak, but on a large scale, gravity's everything. Gravity governs how things move, planets move. That's why you have general relativity on the large scale, and you have quantum mechanics on the small scale. And they're extremely, extremely predictive in both senses. Both of them extremely predictive to such a high extent. So it seems like no problem, except when you get to black holes or, quote, unquote, the beginning of the universe. I don't think there's a beginning to the universe. That's another thing that I think is really, really, really funny. People think the universe began at some point, as if it's like a beginning, like God said, "Let there be light," and the universe came into place. Such fucking bullshit. That's theology. There is no reason to think the universe began, quote unquote, began. from nothing into something. No, no, no. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's a flux. Energy moves from one place to another. There's no reason in physics to suggest that something came from nothing. That's why I think that as much as I like the atheist movement, you have people like fucking Lawrence Krauss that is capitalized off of books that say a universe from nothing. It's like you have stoners that think like, oh, there's like nothing and then there's something, and then people like rack their brains when it comes to philosophy. Well, keep racking your fucking brains. Might be helpful in certain areas, but there's no reason to suggest that there's a such thing as infinity or a such thing as a beginning. The universe is... We define the universe as what we see, what is around us. Why would it have a beginning? That's the difference between philosophy and physics. Is that philosophy aids physics, but it often fucks us up. There is no such thing as a Big Bang. Like from nothing to something. Complete bullshit. People think evolution explains life from non-life, which it does not. Evolution explains how you get complex life from more simple life. It's very straightforward. You have life, there's mutations, there's environmental constraints that lead to other life. There's nothing in evolution that explains how you get life from non-life, whatever that even means. Life from non-life. That's a philosophical issue. What matters is change. That's the emphasis of this entire stream. Change. It's not about having hard cutoff points. Life, non-life. Universe, no universe. Something, nothing. Those things are not real. They don't exist. Everything is a gradient. I wish more people would understand this. Not only do I... Actually, you know what? I don't wish more people would understand this. I wish more people would understand this and would actually be able to engage with this. I feel like an alien in this world. Alright, this game's basically background right now. Banned in prison. But I mean, I made this stream for a reason. Jumping from one point to the next, but it's still extremely meaningful. I'm very, very proud of the stream. There's many things that I've said here that I have not said on other streams.
Give my power to wield.
Will it fall on deaf ears? Of course. This stream is for the people that will listen, that will understand, that want to understand our place in the universe. There's things that physicists tell us that are completely not true, like the Big Bang. The Big Bang is like I already said this earlier. The Big Bang is the start of the universe. No, it's not. The Big Bang is like evolution. Like I said, it explains how we get our current universe from a simplistic, high density, high temperature state. Doesn't explain where it came from. That's what a singularity is. A singularity is it's a mathematical definition. A singularity is where our theories break down. It's saying we don't know what happened before this, so we're just gonna posit in like an infinitely dense region, infinitely small. Anytime you hear infinity in a theory, that's where it breaks down. Infinities are not spectacular. Infinities are not wonderful. They don't make you go, whoa, infinity, oh, the universe, so great. No. If you hear infinity, it just means that whatever theory that is being explained to you breaks down. It doesn't work anymore. That's why they use the word infinity. The mathematics have broken down. The theories that we thought explained the universe are no longer applicable. Hence the reason why we have to come up with a unified theory to quantum field theory and general relativity. Probably going to end the stream soon though, because I explained everything I needed to explain. I even told everybody. I told the people that are listening to my stream, this may fall on deaf ears. If you want to listen, if you don't want to listen, I don't fucking care. This is a stream of my internal thoughts.
You're so cute.
It's cute until people realize that what I have to say actually matters. There's so many attempts at uniting these theories. General relativity, quantum field theory. So many. String theory. Loop quantum gravity. Modified gravity. So many different theories. And you know what? They've given us insight, but most of them don't give us anything to test about. Can't test string theory. What are we supposed to measure a fucking vibrating string in one dimension? Fuck off. Sure, the math works. Oh, the string theory. Oh, the math is so beautiful. Well, you can't test it, so why does it fucking matter? That's why I highly respect what Roger Penrose is doing. Roger Penrose thinks that gravity explains the collapse of the wave function. Very, 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 very ballsy statement. But you know what? I think he's hoping that people test it before he dies. He's contributed so much to physics. Probably gonna end the stream soon though. Made me realize that I really should have a specific stream, or at least a video that I compose to explain these things. But dude, my ADHD is so bad. I have to compose all my thoughts, organize it. And then by that point in time, I may have moved on to some other thing I'm thinking about. Doesn't mean that this is not important, but that's the thing about ADHD is that think about one thing, you move on to something different. The curse of eloquence and sporadicness. Well, "52 minutes in." Well, I was expecting it to be about an hour, but I don't even know what else I did not cover, but games background. What I've been talking about matters the most. So much said. Alright. Just gonna end it right now. You can watch the video later. Maybe whoever watches this video after the stream can dislike and comment about how I'm fucking crazy or nothing I say matters or it's inaccurate or something, but that's fine. Just make sure if you do that, back it up. Later.